10,000 fearless on the move. Let's go. Deep in the delta where the willows grow, in the soil stained by the blood of my ancestors. Punch bowl voices call out to my soul for justice. The wicked will reap what they've sown. Spirit of Aziz is back on the rise. Soldiers in the delta kept it alive. Time to stand up, take our place in the sun. Understand the time and what must be done. 10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. This is it. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi, sip. Gotta make a move and take control. Have something we can call our own. So shine your light, help the people see that now is the time for us to be free. And if you waiting on the pie in the sky, you better wake up fast. They told you a lie, cause big fields await the wide awake man. Elijah's got the massive 10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. Injustice we've had enough. All of our divisions we're breaking up. Destiny has been calling us. The spirit of the Most High is guiding us. See the time is now. What you waiting on? Quit shooting your brothers. Put your gun down. Come on. They got a cage waiting for you if you keep that up. Early graves coming to you. From that, can't raise you up. Now Sister Ida B and Fannie Lou, check them out and you'll know what to do. But if you really want your enemy to be alarmed, read the final call. Follow Farrakhan. 10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. 10K fearless. 10K fearless on the move. 10K fearless on the move. In Mississippi, Mississippi. 10,000 fearless on the move. Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you, and welcome to a long-awaited edition of the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. I am your brother, your friend, and host, Abdul Shaheed Muhammad. We've been away for a little while, you all, but we are so thankful to the Creator, Almighty God, that we are back, and we are certainly back to stay. We never really went anywhere. We just had some things that we had to do, got a little busy. Just got back in town a couple of days ago from our annual Savior's Day celebration, which was, just absolutely electric. And before we go any further, let us acknowledge the Creator the way we should by starting with the words, in the name of Allah, or Almighty God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. We bear witness to the oneness of God, the oneness of His prophets, the oneness of the scriptures that were revealed through them to the whole of humanity. Please allow us to greet you with the greeting words of peace in the Semitic language of all of the servants and prophets, messengers and warners of God, of Assalamu alaikum. Those words simply mean, may peace be unto you. Brothers and sisters, we got a very, very important program for you this evening. As we always do, strive hard to bring you what I call edutainment. We try to keep it lighthearted, but some of the topics we cover and information that we share is it can be a little eyebrow lifting in the sense that you're concerned. And certainly what we will discuss tonight will perhaps cause us to raise our eyebrows and sit up and take notice of the fact that we really, really need to pay closer attention to what's happening in our communities in particular, because, brothers and sisters, the violence that we see amongst our young people is increasing by degree by degree. We're seeing it in some of the smallest communities throughout the country. Particularly, our focus tonight is going to be on North Mississippi and really throughout Mississippi. You see this kind of violence happening amongst our young people throughout the state. I found out recently that Mississippi leads the country in gun violence amongst our young people. I found that quite surprising. But tonight, our topic is a call to action to stop the gun violence amongst our youth in Mississippi. And also, we're going to be covering a little bit on the incident that happened in Liberty, Mississippi, that many of you may not be aware of. But in Liberty, Mississippi, on October 4th of 2024, 41-year-old truck driver Trumaine White died in police custody. And I mean, the details that are out so far will certainly cause great concern, and it's reminiscent of what was uncovered with the Goon Squad there in Rankin County, Mississippi, where several officers between two agencies were found guilty and sentenced to prison for torturing two brothers, putting a gun and performing a mock execution on one of those brothers, Mr. Perkins, ended up shooting the brother in his mouth, lacerating his tongue, and breaking his jaw and it coming out of his neck. That's the first time in the history of the state that police officers have been held accountable for that kind of activity. And I applaud those brothers, our brother attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz and the national activist Brother John. God, his last name escapes me. I can't believe it. I'll remember it. I'll look at my phone and get it before the night is over. John C. Barnett, that's who that is. Brother John, he's probably listening. He's going to be angry. No, he won't be angry. He's going to be a little surprised. We want to thank all of you that have already tuned in. I see you all, the ever faithful, believing community of the Holly Springs Study Group is logged on. I see my sister Susie Brown. Sister Susie, thank you so much for tuning in. That lets me know that you're home from your trip safely. And those who are in the community of Holly Springs in North Mississippi, we welcome you to tune in to this broadcast, which is going to be essentially a bi-weekly broadcast every other Thursday. We're going to strive to be on every other Thursday from now on until further notice. And we're prayerful that we'll continue to bring you important news, information, and great content. But as we always do, we like to, first of all, let me say I invite you to call in. Those of you that know, all you need to do, you're on the Podbean app. If you're logged in with a user ID and password, you see one of those 6 circles, well, it's 10 circles now. If you want to, when I open it up for you all to call in, which I will do at a certain point in the program, you're free to call in and give your thoughts on the subject matter that we cover this evening. But before we go any further, I got to give you my axioms, because if you're going to call in and share your thoughts on tonight's topic, we ask that you keep these axioms or guiding principles in mind. Now, what is an axiom? Some of you may not have heard that word before. I'm not going to take for granted that all have. An axiom is a statement or proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true, to serve as a premise or starting point for further reasoning and arguments. That's all it is. It's something that's just apparently true. That's to serve as a starting point for further reasoning and arguments. So the first axiom we like for you to keep in mind as we go to tonight's program is he who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes for you the circumference of your activity. So in order to really engage these kinds of conversations that we have, it's always wise to have a decent diameter of knowledge of the issues and the history of that undergirds and gives rise to what we're looking at in our communities and in the society. Second axiom we like to give to you is from the Honorable, that one was from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as well as this one, wherein he said, quote, "A slave is one whose power and authority is ruled over by another and whose sphere of freedom is limited according to the wishes of his master," end quote. Now, that's a powerful, powerful axiom. And here's a third from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And this one really strikes a chord with me when he said, quote, "When you see men fall, don't laugh, learn. Learn because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation, nor from the weakness that will cause us to stumble and fall. When you laugh at somebody else's fall, white or black, rich or poor, your enemy or your friend, you're laughing and opening a way for your own demise when you do that. Because to laugh and not learn, to make a mockery and not to understand, is to make the same mistake yourself." And those are the three axioms we want to give to you tonight. We have my brother William. He's on. He's just called and he's going to be doing the farm report. I'm going to have my brother stand by because we're going to go to our commercial announcements. And we ask that you just stand by. We have some commercials that we want to get to you. And we have people that support us. So we always want to be mindful of that fact. And so just stand by and we'll be right back after these commercial announcements. Stand by.
20 past 12, chilling in the studio, taking over the world. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. I come in peace, I don't mean you no harm. I say assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. I come in peace, I don't mean you know, I don't mean you know. See, I come in peace, and nobody I am hurting, except my enemies, but for my brothers I am working.
Shake's famous seasonings, flavors for every occasion. Want to add a touch of authentic flavor to any dish? Searching for a unique range of seasonings that always put great taste on the menu? Welcome to Shake's famous seasonings. Whether you're a professional chef, passionate home cook, or a complete beginner in the kitchen, taste and flavor should always be on the menu. It's why Master Chef Rashid Muhammad has combined more than 30 years in the kitchen with a passion for mouth-watering flavors to create a range of seasonings unlike any other. Always gluten-free, so you can enjoy great taste exactly how nature intended. Versatile flavors that work with fresh fish, chicken, or vegetables from the very first bite. Authentic cooking experience that adds something special to any occasion. Versatile seasonings that are perfect for baking, frying, grilling, and plenty of tasting. Ready for real authentic flavor? When it's time to see just how delicious seasoned foods can be, why wait? With the click of a button, you can have 30 years of passion for food sent direct to your door. Just what you need to add flavors to every occasion and create meals that you'll always want to eat twice.
Place your order at sfseasonings.com. That's sfseasonings.com. Taste the difference. Taste Supreme. Enjoy our 100% natural Supreme spring water with natural calcium and magnesium, but zero fluoride and zero chloride. Our bottles are BPA free. Order yours today. Call us at 800-573-8033. That's 800-573-8033. Or visit us online at www.supremespringwater.com. Live supreme. Be supreme. Drink supreme. Supreme Spring Water, 801 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30314.
Worldwide. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
What's your source for truth in news reporting?
Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Where do you turn for non-corporate driven news that's fair and balanced?
No shoot. No shoot. No shoot.
Subscribe to the Final Call News, your #1 free and independent news source that delivers hard-hitting national and international news coverage of today's political, economic, and social issues. To subscribe to local home delivery, call us at area code 662-252-8999. That's 662-252-8999. Visit our website at www.finalcall.com.
The Urban Indulgence Bath and Body Boutique. At Urban Indulgence, we pride ourselves on offering quality, effective skincare. Handcrafted with plant-based, skin-loving ingredients, our soaps and body butters will give you luxurious lather and ultimate moisture. Experience the Urban Indulgence at 3314 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 3 blocks west of Poplar Plaza, or shop with us online at theurbanindulgence.com. theurbanindulgence.com.
10,000 fearless on the move. And yes, we are back. Now I got to give you an update on that urbanindulgence.com. You can still go to that website and get those products from that magnificent bath and body boutique, but you will have to go to a new location. They are no longer located at 3314 Poplar Avenue, but you can find them at 6075 Winchester Avenue inside the Hickory Ridge Mall. And you can also find the products inside the Painted Tree in the Wolf Chase Galleria area, located at 8045 Giacosa Plaza. That's inside the Painted Tree. So there you are. 2 new locations at 6075 Winchester Avenue inside the Hickory Ridge Mall. You can also find them at 8045 Giacosa Plaza inside the Painted Tree. And guess what? Soon they will be opening a 3rd location in Nashville, Tennessee, in the Painted Tree there in Nashville. So those of you who are in Nashville, make sure that you keep your ear down to the ground. It's coming in just a few more weeks now, not far, probably right when the weather changes and gets warm. So we're going to move on quickly. We got to do 2 segments. We have on standby our brother William Muhammad with the Farm Report and our dear sister Lynn Shell X with the Health Minute. So we're going to start with Brother William. Assalamu alaikum, Brother William.
Walaikum salam, sir.
What we got on the Farm Report for tonight, sir?
Yes, sir. We're going to start with the national. Right now, we're trying to see if we could possibly get some of the broccoli that Dr. Ridgely has been harvesting. He harvested some before Savior's Day, and I was trying to get some, make arrangements to get some brought up there that could be brought back. But due to the fact that he was in this personal vehicle, there was limited space, and so there was already some orders that had been in front of mine. So hopefully, we're going to try to see if we can make arrangements that I can get over there and get something. Also, with our state report, just as a matter of fact, I'm on a conference call. And I just had to put them on hold so that I could get on, this one and do my weekly report for the podcast. But we have cabbage, we have broccoli, we have carrots, we have cauliflower, beets, and onions that have been planted. We got about 600 onion plants. I think about 300 cabbages that we planted. So we got them covered in plastic. So we're going to have to, dig them and then put them out in the field because we have them in a specific place due to the cold.
Yes, sir.
And then once they get mature enough, then we can transform and replant them in the field. So that's supposed to be taking place sometime within the next week. If the weather is not too bad, we're supposed to get some rain. So I don't know. That depends on the weather. Also, our chickens have started producing. They're laying eggs.
Great.
We got about Yes, sir. Still got about 14 chickens. We grew them up from baby chicks. We're getting about a dozen eggs a day right now.
Man.
So once we got to get an adult male rooster, and once we get the adult rooster, she'll start doing a little better. I was able to get some feed and take out there from a brother who produces his own organic chicken feed. And once Brother Gerald got some and Brother Musa got some, that chicken started producing more off that feed. So, yes, sir. So we try to get that, get that established. We also have some access to raw milk. One of the sources of the raw milk that we have, through our state representative for Ministry of Agriculture.
Great.
We have half a gallon of raw milk is for $6, and we also have the loaves of whole wheat bread, which is $6 per loaf. That's available right now. Yes, sir.
Brother, you're going to have to bring some of that to the mosque Sunday, man. Come on now.
I'm hoping that I can get some, make arrangements and meet with him and get some. Once I get back on the call, I'm going to see how we can set that up.
Yes, sir.
Of course, the bread is made. Yes, sir. And of course, the bread is made with Muhammad Farms whole wheat, which is grown at Muhammad Farms. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Excellent. Brother William, man, as always, we applaud and we certainly thank you, dear brother, for what you do with the Farm Report and keeping us abreast. And for our listening audience and our new listeners that may be tuning in for the first time, brothers and sisters, we have to take the responsibility. We see the price of food going up. We've been hearing in the news how the price of eggs is about to go up again, to my understanding, another 40%. So here we have a brother, and there are others throughout the state. Mississippi is an agricultural state. So we as a people, we need to begin to establish a network of growers where we can eat, brothers and sisters, because I'm telling you, with the weather calamities and its effect on the producing land of this country, we're going to be facing some food insecurities pretty soon. So, Brother William, brother, once again, we thank you so very much for your report. And inshallah, we'll have you back on week after next, my brother. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. That's our brother William Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir. All right. We appreciate our brother William Muhammad for his farm report. Now we're going to move to our sister Linshell for the health segment. Sister Linshell, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing well by the grace of Allah. How are you doing, sir?
I am on top of the world. So we got to bring a feminine touch on here too. Y'all give it balance. I know the sisters are smiling right about now, Sister Linshell. What's good in health today? What tips and advice can you give us in tonight's health segment?
Well, one thing which I will always say when I come on to do the health segment is to make sure that we are always, performing proper hand hygiene, making sure we keeping our respiratory system clean and purified as much as possible. Because the past month we've been seeing a huge flare up of flu A. And there's a flu A and a flu B, but we've been seeing a big flare up of flu A, and it's really been amongst our little children, like our little people, because they come in contact with so much and each other on a daily basis. So let's just strive to make sure we practice good hand hygiene. Let's make sure we still taking all of our vitamins, even though the temperature is shifting to a nice, comfortable temperature from day to day. Let's make sure we stay on top of our vitamin D3. That's the vitamin D3 we need to be consuming. The part of the vitamin D we need to be consuming. Vitamin C, zinc, elderberry if you can. Now there are elderberry gummies that have vitamin C and ink in a decent quantity in it, so you can take it within one gummy or one capsule. And I think those are the top tier vitamins that I was thinking about. But also, with Ramadan being upon us on tomorrow, I wanted to get a few tips on that.
Mm.
So, um, A few of the tips that I want to give for us as we start this precious and very personal time of Ramadan is to, before sunrise, since we don't eat anything during the daylight hours, we want to try to stay hydrated, right?
Mhm.
So I want to encourage us to eat any type of like water-based fruit, particularly the melons in the morning before sunrise, to try to eat, consume as much of that as possible to try to help with hydration. Because in some different areas of the United States, I do know that it can be relatively hot, kind of like in the Arizona area, different places like that. There is different temperatures from us on this side. So, let's try to make sure we do good on our hydration. And for those like myself, they're still getting accustomed to Ramadan and not eating during the day, cheese seeds is a good thing to help curb your appetite that you can consume in the morning in one of your beverages or in a smoothie or oatmeal of choice if you choose to, or you can eat a date, to help curb your appetite, to kind of help hold you until, you break your fast in the later in the evening after sunset. And then also, I want to encourage us to still take care of our spiritual self during this time, which this is the focal key for Ramadan, especially, to focus in on that, to try to reduce our stress as much as possible. I know life and stuff be going on and stuff, but some people stress has the tendency to trigger hunger in some people because some people stress eat, and stress can really weigh on your body. So let's really try to reduce that stress as much as possible. Listen to some meditation music, take a walk outside. It's been some decent weather here in Mississippi. It's been sun and warmth and things of that nature. So I've been really enjoying that. I'm sure others have as well. And drink plenty of water at any point around the sunrise or after sunset. Make sure you drink some water so we can keep that on board to keep your body hydrated as you flush out any toxins. Because even during this time, one of the things during fasting is that your body is going to be expelling toxins. So
Mhm.
we want to make sure those are removed, properly. So we need to facilitate that. And one of the things that I was reviewing in my mind, because I know sometimes when you have a tendency to go a good bit of time without eating, when you do eat, you be like, oh my gosh, let me eat, let me eat, let me eat, because you feel like you're starving.
Hurt yourself.
Oh, yes. So one of the tips I wanted to say, like when we do get ready to break fast, I I'm going to do this as well, is to eat slowly, not get in there and just go ahead and scarf it all down. Because even though you feel hungry, we don't realize sometimes a very small healthy portion can satisfy that hunger real quick.
Yeah.
So we don't want to overeat, because then you don't want to, one of my goals, besides purifying spiritually and mentally, emotionally, is a physical thing as well. They still could be a benefit. So you don't want to get in a Ramadan and be like, okay, what happened?
Mm.
Because you was overeating before you got ready.
Oh, I lost my sister. Where'd she go?
Okay,
Still
sorry
in the
about
chat?
that.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
gosh. Hello?
Yes, I got you.
Okay, sorry about that. A call had came in. My apologies.
It's okay.
Um, we lost my train of thought. But I think that's the gist of what I wanted to say
Uh-huh.
to our beautiful believers and all the beautiful family and friends listening to our wonderful 10,000 Fearless podcast.
Sister, thank you so very, very much. That is good information, brothers and sisters, to have, particularly as we go into the month of fasting for Ramadan. It actually begins Saturday instead of tomorrow. Saturday will be the first day. We will be having the Ummah Reflects every morning for the next 30 days, beginning Saturday, where we will start the day with prayer and a broadcast on Podbean. And the name of the podcast is Ramadan, the Ummah Reflects. And it starts, guess what time, y'all? 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. Can you believe it? Yes, believe it. We're up and at it. on our prayers, reading our Holy Quran, which we will read 1/30th each day for 30 days. So at the end of 30 days, we will have read the entirety of our holy book. So, brothers and sisters, let us gird up our loins, and those who don't know anything about it, just continue to hang out with us or just come visit us this coming Sunday, 165 North Memphis Street in Holly Springs, Mississippi. For those that are in Holly Springs in Marshall County, you're certainly invited to come and join us and ask any question you want to ask about Ramadan or the message that you will hear. Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad will be delivering part 2 of what he delivered in Chicago this past Sunday at our Savior's Day celebration, entitled Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So you didn't think we thought like that? Yes, we most certainly do. And I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to go to noi.org, that's noi.org, and listen to the replay of the Student National Assistant of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad, his, awe-inspiring message, his thought-provoking message this past Sunday at our Savior's Day convention certainly deserves a second and maybe even a third or fourth listening. And I've listened at it twice already myself. So please avail yourself to that resource, brothers and sisters. You will be so glad that you did. So, my dear sister and brother William, I see both of you are still on. You are certainly welcome to stay on. And you who are have tuned in, if you've logged in with the user ID and password, you are certainly invited to come in and give comments on what we are about to discuss. So, segueing into our 2 items for discussion tonight, I'm going to begin with something that happened in Liberty, Mississippi, that most of us probably are oblivious to. It happened in Amite County, Mississippi, in the city of Liberty. Now, Liberty, Mississippi, most people don't know where or even it even existed. It is part of the Macomb, Mississippi metro or micropolitan statistical area, according to the Census Bureau. Has a population of only about 600 people as of 2023. So a city that small with that few number of residents probably wouldn't normally draw any attention at all. And it hasn't so far, especially in light of what happened there on October the 4th, 2024. Well, what happened, Brother Muhammad? Well, the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation is looking into the death of a brother who died in jail there. His name is Trumaine White. Let me make sure I got the right name on my brother, because Mr. Trumaine White. On October 4th, 41-year-old Trumaine White, who was a truck driver, he died in jail there. Okay, well, what happened? Well, after a month, which was around November the 4th, they still had a lot of unanswered questions. Sound familiar? So now they're looking into it and seeing if was it racially motivated. Well, how did all of this go down? Well, according to news reports, on October the 3rd, his attorney, they have an attorney representing the family. The attorney's name, I'll get it to you in just a second. His name is Bobby DiCello. He's representing the White family. And according to Mr. DiCello, his investigation thus far, according to him, says that on October the 3rd or early October 4th, Mr. White went to a tire shop in Liberty, Mississippi to buy a tire. He got his tire fixed, purchased it, got it mounted, and he was leaving the tire shop, and he threw something out of his window. Well, an employee at the tire shop called the police, accusing White of throwing out a clear white baggie with a white powdery substance inside. That's police language. I know it because I've been in law enforcement for 31 years. So I question whether or not the caller, if that's what the caller was quoted as saying, a white baggie with a white powdery substance inside, that is police jargon for he threw a baggie of cocaine out the window. Well, as it turns out, that's not what he threw out the window. According to reports, it was a white paper towel. Well, White kept going, and he went to eat at a local restaurant. And not long after he got to the restaurant, Law enforcement officers showed up, came inside, and arrested the brother. Well, arrested him based on what was my question. Okay, if they responded to the call for police services at the tire shop and concluded that, okay, what he threw out the window was a white paper towel and not a white baggie with a white powdery substance, then the call should have ended there. There should have been no need for them to go to the restaurant and pick him up unless they was going to arrest him for littering, which is a misdemeanor. And I know in the state of Tennessee, a misdemeanor, you can only arrest a person if it occurs in the officer's presence. But if the officers didn't see him throw it out, it's hearsay. And at least they can't arrest him on it. Now, the citizen can file a complaint and they can possibly, based on whatever the state statute calls for, issue a warrant. And that's if they want to lock the man up for throwing a piece of paper out the window or fine him. That's probably breakage of a city ordinance where it wouldn't even require a warrant, probably a fine or a city ordinance summons or something of that sort. But anyway, they arrest the brother, take him to jail, to the Amite County Jail. Now, it was such a minor incident and the brother's dead. Now, listen at the questions that Attorney DiCello said he's having to ask. Now, pay close attention to these questions, brothers and sisters. And let me check the dashboard to see if anybody's trying to get in and comment on this. But just hold it for right now. And then I'm going to close the comment or the call-in line for right now. And then I'll open it back up momentarily for those who desire to have comments on this. Now, listen at what questions that this attorney is having to ask. Question 1, which agency arrested White? You mean to tell me they don't know who or which agency arrested him? Was it the city or the county? That information should be in the jail records. If he was lawfully arrested and entered into the jail, processed into the jail, then a record, an arrest ticket, an affidavit of complaint, the arresting officer's name and badge number and whatever number they use, we call ours an IBM number. All of that information should be in what is public record, an arrest ticket. So why is, after months now, they still don't have that information and the attorney is still having to ask that question, what agency arrested the man? Secondly, he had to ask what charge or charges was he given? What was he charged with? You mean to tell me they don't know that? Third question he's having to ask is, how many hours did Mr. White spend in jail before his death? And of course, was excessive force used? And what was the exact cause of death? Now, of course, the autopsy is ongoing and they're still waiting on the results. And here it is February 27th, 2025. This occurred October 4th, 2024. So November, December, January, February, it's been 4 months, a full 4 months, coming up on 5 months, because February 4th would have made month 4. We're at February 27th. So it sounds very, very goon squadish, according to the reports that's coming out of Mississippi, according to WLBT News there in Liberty, Mississippi. And see, brothers and sisters, I'm mentioning this on the front end of this tonight's broadcast because as we prepare to segue into what's happening amongst ourselves in North Mississippi and in many major and minor and even smaller cities and municipalities and townships throughout the country, and we're focusing on Mississippi, then we should really consider what we're doing to ourselves and even more, how are we going to respond to it? Hence tonight's title, A Call to Action to End the Gun Violence Amongst Our Young People, okay? Now, the attorneys and, of course, the news, they called the Amite County Sheriff's Department. Well, first they called WLBT. They reached out to the Liberty Police Department asking about Mr. White's arrest and his death. Well, you know what they do. Call Amite County Sheriff's Department. So Liberty Police directed them to the county sheriff's office. After they called the county sheriff's office, They told WLBT, well, Mississippi Bureau of Investigation has taken over the case, and they had no further comment. See, this is a pattern, brothers and sisters, that we have seen again and again. In fact, I would dare say we've become almost numb to it. And I know that for a fact because when Mr. Perkins was murdered and several others, Ahmaud Arbery, when Rasheem Carter, and many others died under questionable circumstances, it was a kind of a ho-hum because that happens all the time. That's the demeanor and the tone and the attitude that I saw among the people that I was with at the time. And I'm not disparaging them. What I'm suggesting is, brothers and sisters, we've allowed ourselves to get numb to this, which translate into why we're so numb when we do it to ourselves. But this has happened to this brother and his family. And these questions, according to the news, as of February 27th, 2025, those questions, as far as the reports that I've gotten and been able to find, those questions have not been answered. So a man throws a piece of paper out of the window and he dies as a result. You arrest the man. Now you don't know who arrested him, what agency arrested him. You don't know what his charges were. See, brothers and sisters, we better wake up quick. And our state of suspended consciousness is going to continue to be the Achilles heel of our ability to make our communities safe and decent places to live. So as we move on, I'm going to open the lines up in case anyone wants to call in or tap in, as one of my brothers like to say. Shout out to all of you that are out there. A few shouts out, of course. We see my sister Addie. I see you. Sister Patricia, I see you. My brother Ricky. And who else? Let's see who else is on. I got to thumb through the pages. I see you, Sister Bree. I see you, Sister Patsy, Brother Keith, and my dear Sister Susie. And we have several people online. Those names I can't see. I'm so thankful for all of you. Got a good number of people who have tuned in tonight. And I'm hopeful that we will sit up and take notice and become more involved and more active in solving these kinds of problems. Not going to go away, brothers and sisters. In fact, if we ignore them and allow ourselves to remain insensitive to the plight of these families, brothers and sisters living, for the most part, under the shadow of death in these little small townships like Liberty, Mississippi, with a population of less than 1,000 people, where more than likely you only have about 3 or 4 officers on patrol with one police chief. And then you have a sheriff's department probably with no more than 20 officers patrolling the entire county. And they, have this mentality. I was watching the arrest of an NFL Hall of Famer, Warren Sapp, in a small county in Florida. And the knowledge of the breaking of interference or obstruction of a law enforcement officer, it was pitiful. I mean, it was absolutely pitiful how ignorant the officers were in terms of their knowledge of what constitutes obstruction of an officer performing their police duties. It was clear. And now this county is going to suffer a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. And I would venture to say, and legal experts are already saying, Warren Sapp going to win that hands down, because those officers was all kind of wrong. But see, this is what happens, brothers and sisters, when these little small agencies like this are caught with their pants down, so to speak, then all of them that are in local leadership, they begin to bury the truth. Because first, the officers who have engaged in questionable behavior, they have to be covered by either a lieutenant and the police chief. Where there's a death involved, now the coroner has to come forward and fabricate something about the cause of death. We've seen this story, we've seen this movie hundreds of times. Well, he really didn't die of being choked to death. Well, he had a lot of cocaine in his system, and that really is what caused the death. Although we saw the man get choked on live television, this is the kind of stuff that happens. And unfortunately, dear family, we sit idle, we remain silent. And then when it starts happening in our community, as we're starting to segue to, we still remain silent. But see, God has a way of getting our attention because things are getting such that more affluent people are starting to be ill affected by these things. You know, some of our children of the prominent members of some of these communities are starting to get ill affected by the violence and the gun violence that's happening amongst our young people. And God is forcing us to stand up and awaken and accept the responsibility as a collective community to begin to work towards solving these problems, brothers and sisters. So I say that, and I end there on the tragic event that happened in Liberty, Mississippi. I mean, it's really sad, brothers and sisters, that in 2025, we still essentially read about lynchings. I paused for a reason. It is really sad that in 2025, we as Black people still can log on to the internet and thumb through news stories and find a story about lynching. Now, no other people who have suffered those kinds or types of atrocities have to deal with reading on a regular basis the same type of murdering of their own people happening to them. Jewish people don't have to read about somebody was held hostage in a makeshift Auschwitz type camp. But we as Black people still have to not only read about these kinds of things, but on occasion, in some of these communities, these people are bold enough to hang a noose in your locker or hang a noose somewhere around your desk because they just hate us that vehemently. But here's the even more tragic thing. We do similar to ourselves. Recently in Holly Springs, Mississippi in particular, there's been a rash of shootings involving young men, young women, and it's resulted in death. And unfortunately, some of the families that have been involved, you know, I've had the opportunity to meet the relatives, or one of the relatives of the young brothers and sisters that died in a driveway where 4 people were killed. That was in July, about mid-July last year. And they were investigated. It was multiple people were shot. It was around 7 p.m. They responded to it. It was on Woodward Avenue. It was near McMillan Drive. And 4 people were pronounced dead on the scene, 3 women and 1 man. And based on the information that has come out, it was a murder-suicide at last reported. Now, I'm telling you what was reported, okay? I'm sure there's some other circumstances and some other nuances that give rise to what happened and why. But the point of the matter is all that we are drawing attention to is the fact that we're killing ourselves. That was in July. Another incident occurred around January 3rd of this year. Well, actually, January 2nd, between the 1st and the 3rd of this year, where there was a shooting on Old Hudsonville Road in Holly Springs, and it stemmed from an argument over the ownership of a car. 23-year-old young man was shot and wounded outside of his home. And we're settling our disputes with deadly force. So what's going on with us? When are we going to respond? Not in a negative way, not in a self-righteous finger-pointing way, but clearly, the Holly Springs community needs to take a look at what's happening amongst our young people. Or are we going to just continue to say, well, it ain't me, and it's not happening to mine, as long as it don't happen? Well, we can take that posture if we want. But if we don't understand the time that we're actually living in, then we're going to be sadly mistaken, because it's only a matter of time if those of us who see this happening and decide to remain silent and idle and just refuse to get involved because we don't feel as though I have a responsibility to do so, then you're going to, God forbid, if it visits your house, if it visits and touches people in your life that you love, you're going to want some kind of response to heal the injury and the emotional and psychological scars that come along with that. And then again, we had another one. This one happened just recently. This was January 16th. January 16th, 16-year-old child shot and killed just a few hundred yards from City Hall. And earlier last summer, a young man in the park gets shot down with a semi-automatic rifle. I mean, brothers and sisters, can't we see that our communities are being plagued with death coming from ourselves? And in the backdrop of this is we're dying in police custody while at the same time killing ourselves. I have something in a book that I want to read. Title of the book is Without Sanctuary. It's the title of the book, Without Sanctuary. The subtitle is Lynching Photography in America. Now, these are actual historic accounts from news, national news, the Associated Press and news agencies like that, from lynchings that happened. And I want to read two in particular that drew my attention. And as I read these, I want you to hear every gory detail. This one happened in Doddsville, Mississippi in 1904. And as you listen to this, think about how we now are the number one killers, beaters, robbers of our own selves, the most disrespectful to our own women and neglectful of our own children. So listen at this, brothers and sisters. It reads, apprehended for allegedly killing his white employer, Luther Holbert and his wife found themselves subjected to mob justice in Doddsville, Mississippi in 1904. Some 1,000 people stood and watched as the self-appointed executioners went about their business, engaging in the increasingly familiar ritual of torture, mutilation, and murder. A reporter with the Vicksburg Evening Post described the execution of the Holberts. He wrote, when the two Negroes were captured, they were tied to trees, and while the funeral pyres were being prepared, funeral pyres meaning gathering wood to burn, while the funeral pyres were being prepared, They were forced to suffer the most fiendish tortures. The blacks were forced to hold out their hands while one finger at a time was chopped off. The fingers were distributed as souvenirs. The ears of the murderers were cut off. Hobart was beaten severely. His skull was fractured and one of his eyes knocked out with a stick hung by a shred from the socket. The most excruciating form of punishment consisted in the use of a large corkscrew in the hands of some of the mob. This instrument was bored into the flesh of the man and woman, in the arms, legs, and body, and then pulled out, the spirals tearing out big pieces of raw, quivering flesh every time it was withdrawn. Hobart and his employer had quarreled before the murder, but there was no evidence to implicate Hobart's wife. Two blacks mistaken for Luther Hobart had already been slain by the posse. When a mob meted out lynch justice, that's the end of that one. Now, this is how this brother and sisters was killed in Dodgeville, Mississippi. Not given a day in court. Essentially, public homicide was acceptable. Now I'm going to read another one to you. Now, this one is very, very graphic. The brutalities meted out in these years often exceeded the most vivid of imaginations. After learning of the lynching of her husband, Mary Turner, in her 8th month of pregnancy, vowed to find those responsible, swear out warrants against them, and have them punished in the courts. Now, they tell us to be upstanding citizens and do that, right? But continue to listen to this. For making such a threat, a mob of several hundred men and women determined to, quote, teach her a lesson, end quote. After tying her ankles together, they hung her from a tree, head downward. Dousing her clothes with gasoline, they burned them from her body. While she was still alive, someone used a knife ordinarily reserved for splitting hogs to cut open the woman's abdomen. The infant fell from her wound to the ground and cried briefly, whereupon a member of the Valdosta, Georgia mob crushed the baby's head beneath his heel. Hundreds of bullets were fired into Mary Turner's body, completing the work of the mob. The Associated Press, in its notice of the affair, observed that Mary Turner had made, quote, unwise remarks about the execution of her husband, and the people in their indignant mood took exceptions to her remarks as well as her attitude. Now, this is what they used to do to us, and to some degree still do to us. Meanwhile, we're doing it to ourselves. We are stalking one another with handguns and semi-automatic rifles to shoot one another down because we call each other ops. And there's been a culture that has been manufactured to help facilitate the attitude and mentality of fratricidal conflict and fratricide, period. So that's why tonight's program is a call to action. Because we're in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and we too are watching these events unfold and hearing of the horror of mothers receiving the news, loved ones and uncles receiving the news. We stand on the corners in Holly Springs, selling the Final Call newspaper, trying to call our people to some level of consciousness as funeral processions pass 2 and 3 times in one day. Almost every Saturday, there's a funeral in Holly Springs, as small as it is. So the question becomes, at least from my perspective, our perspective, do we understand the time and what we must do? Or will we continue to do nothing and pass this legacy of inactivity to the next generation? That's if we even have one. Because at the rate that this is going, the young people that are no longer among us, may God rest their souls, and the young perpetrators are no longer part of the community. So we lose on both sides, dear family. We lose some to the cemetery, and then we lose the perpetrators to the prison industrial complex. And in case you didn't know, Mississippi has a serious problem in her prison systems because a lot of these brothers and sisters are dying behind bars due to illness, violence, poor prison conditions, even the local jails. I've heard complaints from citizens about how poor the condition of the Marshall County Jail is. But I don't hear conversations about this. So I'm hearing, and let me switch to the dashboard in case if I missed you. If you called in, I missed you, please, because I wasn't looking at the dashboard. I apologize. I was reading the article. I guess I'll have to get one of those attachments that you can put onto your computer that gives you two more screens, so that way I can spread everything out and see everything right in front of me. But brothers and sisters, tonight's podcast and tonight's episode, we're highlighting this because it's very important. I'm getting information that there are some in the Holly Springs community that are desirous of stepping forward and making an effort to address some of these problems. Now, the question is going to be, well, the hope is, I'll say it like this. I'm hoping, dear brothers and sisters, that we don't take the traditional, it's not traditional, but take the posture that we often take. If the solution doesn't come from a desired voice, or we decide to cherry pick who should or shouldn't be involved, or use excuses in terms of our different philosophies or different theologies as excuses to not work together. If we're not beyond that at this point in our history, then that would be a sad commentary to continue in a terrible mindset and posture to take, because it really amounts to just plain old hypocrisy and a disingenuous attitude towards addressing community problems. Frankly, I think it should be an all hands on deck approach, because we're losing a young person almost every other day. Somewhere in Mississippi, somewhere in Tennessee, somewhere in Memphis, in a predominantly Black community. As a matter of fact, just about every night we turn the news on here in Memphis, you can guarantee just about somebody got shot or shot and killed. And it's always one from among us. And when you look at the age, it's always our young people. Now, this is not just something that is a new phenomenon. And it's not by happenstance. What we will come to realize, if we would study it, we will see that it's really in truth by design. And God willing, I won't get into that right now. There needs to be a community conversation. And I'm hoping that what I'm hearing in terms of the desire of some in the community to convene and try to establish some kind of plan of action to deal with and address what's happening. Because, I mean, we can sit back and do nothing. Some going to say, well, we need to pray. Well, yeah, that's cool. We need to pray. We need to exercise our faith. But as your scripture tells you, faith without works is dead. If you pray and go home and sit down and do nothing, there is no mystery God. You know, where there's an effect, there's a cause. So the solution has to effect what's being caused. And whatever's been caused, somebody caused it. So whoever will affect change for the better to what's the cause is, somebody is going to have to do that. Not some spirit floating around in the sky. And I'm hoping I'm not offending. It's certainly not my intent to offend. But brothers and sisters, we have to divest ourselves of this horse and buggy understanding of our faiths all across the board. We still take a horse and buggy approach. And what I mean by that, you know, why would you have a horse and buggy rolling down the street when you got planes, trains, cars, and all of this? You look kind of strange riding a horse and a buggy up 22 going towards Memphis. So, and I think that's what we do as a community. We are still using age-old techniques and stratagems to address our problems in a modern time where AI is present and our understanding is still such that, you know, and then we wonder why we don't get the desired result. We don't get the desired result, brother and sister. And as uncomfortable as that sometimes make many of us, that does not change the reality that we are still losing our children to foolishness in the street. So how many more are we willing to allow to be buried, shot down? How many more futures will come to an abrupt, untimely end because we refuse to gather ourselves and engage in the uncomfortable, unenviable work of self-improvement, as we call it? Because, brothers and sisters, we're taught that self-improvement is the basis for the development of any community. To the degree that the people of a community are not morally, mentally, spiritually, economically, and politically conscious and active, to that same degree, you see decay in those areas. So you see economic decay in the Black community. You see political decay, infighting and mudslinging. You see spiritual decay. You see moral decay. And you see mental or ignorance. Our children are graduating from high school functionally illiterate, can barely read. And it seems the goal now is to just push them through and get them graduated. There's a college in Holly Springs, Mississippi, where young minds are supposed to be being developed. It's like having a garden in your backyard, and when the fruit thereof and the vegetables ripen, someone else comes and picks them out of your backyard to consume and make themselves healthy, while the community wherein they grew continues to starve and suffer from brain drain, because the young minds that could potentially come out and matriculate from Russ College and come out into the Holly Springs and community and be an aid with fresh ideas and to help develop Holly Springs in North Mississippi, those students leave that college in search of better opportunities because there are none, for all intents and purposes, or very few in North Mississippi. Now, if I'm lying, somebody call in or type in and say, no, brother, that's not true. Please correct me if I am incorrect, because those are the complaints that I'm hearing and have continued to hear from residents in Holly Springs, Mississippi. We're at the top of the hour, and matter of fact, we're 10 minutes past the top of the hour. And normally at the top of the hour, I take a break, and we kind of go back and allow us to. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. Or we go back and allow our sponsors and those who support us to. We play their commercial jingles. I'm sorry, and we want to do that again. So if you all would please just stand by, and we'll be right back after these commercial announcements. Yeah.
In a universe built on the law of truth, we must understand that any world built on other than the truth has a very limited time to stand. Can't you see the economy is getting worse every day? Cost of living at an all-time high, we wonder how we're gonna pay. Our children bringing guns to school, finding poison in our food. How much longer will it last? 'Cause time is moving fast. There's a hand on the wall. Well, there's a hand right here on the wall. Somebody read it. Read it. Tell me what it says. There's a hand right here on the wall.
Shake's famous seasonings, flavors for every occasion. Want to add a touch of authentic flavor to any dish? Searching for a unique range of seasonings that always put great taste on the menu? Welcome to Shake's famous seasonings. Whether you're a professional chef, passionate home cook, or a complete beginner in the kitchen, taste and flavor should always be on the menu. It's why Master Chef Rashid Muhammad has combined more than 30 years in the kitchen with a passion for mouth-watering flavors to create a range of seasonings unlike any other. Always gluten-free, so you can enjoy great taste exactly how nature intended. Versatile flavors that work with fresh fish, chicken, or vegetables from the very first bite. Authentic cooking experience that adds something special to any occasion. Versatile seasonings that are perfect for baking, frying, grilling, and plenty of tasting. Ready for real, authentic flavor? When it's time to see just how delicious seasoned foods can be, why wait? With the click of a button, you can have 30 years of passion for food sent direct to your door. Just what you need to add flavors to every occasion and create meals that you'll always want to eat twice.
Place your order at sfseasonings.com. That's sfseasonings.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Taste the difference. Taste Supreme. Enjoy our 100% natural Supreme spring water with natural calcium and magnesium, but zero fluoride and zero chloride. Our bottles are BPA free. Order yours today. Call us at 800-573-8033. That's 800-573-8033. Or visit us online at www.supremespringwater.com. Live supreme. Be supreme. Drink supreme. Supreme Spring Water. 801 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30314. What's your source for truth in news reporting?
Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Where do you turn for non-corporate driven news that's fair and balanced?
No shoot. No shoot.
Subscribe to the Final Call News, your number one free and independent news source that delivers hard-hitting national and international news coverage of today's political, economic, and social issues. To subscribe to local home delivery, call us at area code 662-252-8999. That's 662-252-8999. Visit our website at www.finalcall.com.
The Urban Indulgence Bath and Body Boutique. At Urban Indulgence, we pride ourselves on offering quality, effective skincare. Handcrafted with plant-based, skin-loving ingredients, our soaps and body butters will give you luxurious lather and ultimate moisture. Experience the Urban Indulgence at 3314 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 3 blocks west of Poplar Plaza, or shop with us online at theurbanindulgence.com. theurbanindulgence.com.
America can change, but attitudes change slowly. There's something that we, as Black people, must do to affect that kind of change. But if our people are jobless and in gangs and are the number one killers of themselves, then how can anyone looking at that picture see us as their equal? So there's an awful lot of work for Black leaders, Black preachers, Black teachers, Black organizations to do to lift our people up out of the quagmire that they are in. And that is not on Barack Obama. He has the cross of America to bear, but the raising of our people is still our job to do.
Man, and we are back with the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. Once again, I am your host, Brother Abdul Shaheed Muhammad. Just want to give you an update for the Urban Indulgence Bath and Boutique in terms of their location. They are no longer located at 3314 Poplar Avenue here in the city of Memphis. They have relocated, and they are now at 6075 Winchester Avenue. That is inside the Hickory Ridge Mall. You can also get those products at 8045 Giacosa Plaza inside of the Painted Tree, which is located in the Wolf Chase Mall shopping area here in the city of Memphis. So, brothers and sisters, we're on the downslope. We are approaching the end of tonight's broadcast, and we want to give a little more information and hopefully get some ones that'll call in. And I need to check my comments because I'm sure some people have been expressing themselves in the comment section. So let me peruse the comment section real quick and to see, excuse me. Woo, boy, that one came all of a sudden. But we're going to peruse the comment section to see if anyone has shared comments out. It looks like from what I'm watching so far, a lot of people have shared the show and expressed that they really, really like what they're hearing and then love that book, Without Sanctuary. My brother William, he commented, and that book, brothers and sisters, Without Sanctuary, the excerpt I read from it, you should go to our website. This book is available there. It's very, very hard to find. It's one of those books that they really, really don't want you to find because it gives a very, very well-documented partial history of the way we were lynched. And a lot of the markers you see throughout the country of events like that, like the Emmett Till marker. And it's unfortunate. I did an episode where some college students from Ole Miss, these are children, went and posed in front of the Emmett Till marker, which was riddled with bullets, and they're holding semi-automatic rifles. And that's a special kind of hatred that you would deface the landmark of a 14-year-old child who was murdered, unjustly murdered. And the warrant that was issued for the woman who falsely accused this young man. So it tells you, brother and sister, while we are killing ourselves We still live in a country where there's a significant number of people who are hateful enough and loathe Black life just that much that given the opportunity, they would just outright murder us. Now, if that ain't painful enough, we do it to ourselves. And the vast majority of us are quite silent about it. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you something now. God hates a coward. People are scared to talk about it. And you can be guaranteed on this podcast, we're going to speak about it. Because as a man of faith, God requires the believer to speak up. This is with ill regard to what your faith tradition or label you wear. I don't care if you Christian, Muslim, Hebrew, Israelite. It don't make no difference. If we're not willing to speak, and not only just speak, but speak in a collective, unified way. The biggest problem that we have is we use, or I should say misuse, our so-called religion to justify the divisions. And this is why you hear a lot of people say, we need to get rid of religion. Religion done messed up Black people. Religion has not messed up Black people no more than water drowned a child. Child was drowned in the water. You don't stop using water. You still take a bath, don't you? You have house fires where people get burned to death, but we don't stop using fire as a resource. People get shot and killed by guns, but you still got a gun in your home for home defense. Well, why would you, in the name of somebody's misuse, just like you misuse a gun, you misuse water, you set a fire, you misuse it, you don't stop availing yourselves to those resources, why then would you throw away what is called religion? Because someone else misunderstood and misused it and misapplied it. It don't make any sense. And I always find it interesting that, you know, our brothers and sisters in the conscious community, they love to mention Martin Luther King. They love the greatness of a Malcolm X and many others, a Sojourner Truth, and many of the Black revolutionaries, and Nat Turner. We love that. But these people were inspired by the sacred texts, Bible, and Holy Quran. These were people of faith. These were people who had a religious perspective. So it goes to say that clearly they understood something about quote unquote religion, whereby they properly applied it in its proper place and turn, which made them, in the eyes of those of us who hold them in high esteem, great people. So it's like loving the apple, but hating the tree that produced it. That doesn't make any sense, brothers and sisters. It was what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught of Islam that made Malcolm, but he didn't teach the same brand of ritual-laden Islam where you just go through the motions, you pray, and then you get up from your prayer rug and you do nothing. Martin Luther King didn't practice a Christianity where he just stayed in the church and prayed, and after he finished, he didn't do anything. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't teach a brand of Islam where we just stayed in the mosque and prayed. No, this man built, as of 1975, a $80 million infrastructure employing over 11,000 Black people, with businesses and schools and universities, and a truck line, was in the process of building a hospital, had airplanes, had majority stock in Guarantee Bank in Chicago. See, that's religion put to work and properly applied. And $80 million in 1975 is the equivalent of over 439 billion in today's dollars. That's what Malcolm was taught. So let's get past this thing wanting to castigate, quote unquote, religion. No, religion ain't the problem. It's people misusing it, just like people misuse guns and other resources that should be handled by spiritually and morally correct and spiritually mature people that know how to wield the sword of knowledge and wisdom and not use or misuse it to make merchandise of the people. I hope that makes sense to our listeners. But brothers and sisters, you all are relatively quiet. Normally, the switchboard normally lights up, but I'm just getting kudos and hearts and not necessarily any commentary on tonight's subject. But brothers and sisters, in the coming days, and as we get ready to close for tonight, it's 8:25. I stop at 8:30, right on the dot. But this past November, we convened in Tupelo, Mississippi, with some of the young brothers of growth and development. My brother Teddy Cobb and brother Martin, OG Capone, OG J-Rock, and several others. Ike Taylor came down from Chicago because these are men, Brother Main C of the Vice Lords. These are young men, and women were there too, who would like to see an end of the scourge of violence that's happening amongst our young people. They want to, but they don't have time to be played with. They're not into cameras and you know, this show of support where there's no follow-up. But there is follow-up happening amongst these young men. That was just the first meeting, and we are working on a second one. And the desire is to take this message throughout Mississippi, a message of stop the killing. Those of you who may have passed, I'm sure many of you have, as you pass our location there in Holly Springs, you see a little sign that's stuck down in the yard that says, stop the killing. Well, that didn't originate in Memphis. That started back in the early 90s when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan crisscrossed this country in the wake of these movies and pop culture that depicted Black men as pariahs and the dregs of the society and murderous monsters in movies like Colors and Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society. They do the same thing today. If you pay attention to the roles that Black men and women play, the predominant roles that they play are negative and stereotypical roles where we're always a drug dealer. We're just a well-dressed one now. And the women, our sisters, are always depicted as immoral, promiscuous women. It's the same old thing, the same old Black exploitation movies. They're just a bit more sophisticated now. And so that's why you can just thumb your feed, scroll your feed on Facebook. Every other picture you see some woman scantily clad. It's the same game, brothers and sisters, that position and couch us in such a negative light. So with all of that being said, we want to take time and thank you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. And the spirit is hitting me to give us a cultural segment, something to part ways with for tonight. And yeah, I think we should. And I want to give you a little something to keep in mind as we part ways tonight. God willing, we will be back, not next Thursday, but Thursday after next with more of the 10K Fearless Tri-State podcast. And so until we meet again, I will leave you. I'm still trying to make up my mind which one we're going to. We'll listen at this. This is from my brother H2, Hashim Hakeem. and Sister Heck of a Mecca.
I'm sorry, let me introduce myself real quick. I'm the one and only, no one can before me, and ain't nobody gonna be like me again. Listen, I'm the realest, rapping like it's Christmas, I'm gifted with it. We ain't gotta pretend, but you on my illness, it won't leave a witness. I'm strictly business, we ain't gotta be friends, boy. Understand? Think twice when you come for the fam. Yo, we taking shots when we come with this pen loaded with the word and straight for your head. Ain't no questions about it, you know I'm the man. Ain't no maybe, probably your boy in the man. Being a level up, I'm just trying to expand. Yeah, I'm still 100, worth 100 grand, worth 100 mil. Trying to cop a Lambo. I ride through with the lamb, though. Yo, I came up from Little Black Sambo into rocking these ops like a Rambo. From the little engine that could to wish a nigga would take the best rapper around and leave him in the woods. Think of sweet, have him running in the hood. No need to explain what should be understood. Take a loss. I'm the boss, Rick Ross. Yeah, I paid the price, and you know that it costs. I thank God that my God doesn't have an exhaust. So I'm way too hard. All these rappers are soft. I'm a beast. I'm the coldest. I cannot defrost on these beats. I'm exploding. I know I'm the bomb. Undefeated. A problem these niggas can't solve. Yeah, you vegan. I'm bringing the beef when we meet. Peeping the trees and don't think I don't see it. Just know if I said it, then know that I mean it. They said I'm ashamed, so I got me a peaches. I'ma keep coming. I ain't never leaving the flow. Yes, I own it. These niggas just leasing. Number one, and I know that they pissed. They gon' be like, who is this?
I'm sorry, let me introduce myself real quick. I'm the one and only, no one came before me, and ain't nobody gon' be like me again. Listen, I'm the realest, rapping like it's Christmas, I'm gifted with it, we ain't gotta pretend. Put you on my hit list and won't leave no witness, it's strictly business, I ain't trying to be friends, boy. Understand? Keep up if you think that you can. Yeah, we run as gold medals, we Olympians. We consistent, semi-am, the screen exam. Get compete in the least, boy, you know I'm gon' win. I'm the issue, just gassing, you just break away. Yeah, you fake, boy, you plastic. I'm real as it gets, supernatural, I'm magic. You simply a trick, you chicken, boy, how you get pumped by your chick? I'm making moves, you just moving your lips. Don't care if we blood, cause you act like you crip. Our family tree more like a pile of sticks. I'm with Jesus, like Peter, y'all. I'm trying to fish, but see, we ain't the same. You more like Peter Griff. I'm speaking in tongues, you just speak with a list. Ain't no more to say, man, I plead in the fifth. Yeah, I am the legend, the myth, I'm the best in a minute. LeBron ain't the only one that can got hit. I'm a dove in the midst amongst all of these pigeons. My props, I'ma get them, my haters gon' give it. They live it, they mad cause I'm living. I'm eating this dinner time, 1 meal per evening. I know that my flow is unreal, it's deceiving. Oh, you ain't know what I'ma make you believe it. They did me like Spike Lee in my school days, but they gon' regret it in a few days. See me up in the sky when they stargaze. No cap, all black, all everything. Yeah, I was the one getting dissed. Now I'm at the top of their list, taking shots and I know that they pissed. Yeah. They gon' be like, who is this? I'm sorry, let me introduce myself real quick. I'm the one and only, no one came before me, and ain't nobody gon' be like me again. Listen, I'm the realest, rapping like it's Christmas, I'm gifted with it, we ain't gotta pretend. Put you on my hit list and won't leave no witness, it's strictly business, I ain't trying to be friends, boy.
Yeah, that was a little something from my brother Hashim Hakeem. And brothers and sisters, we want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your night to tune in to hear what we have to say here on the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. We want to leave you as we came with the greeting words of peace. But before we give those words, we want you to remember the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has said to us, quote, "No one can attempt to help our people do anything productive, constructive, without feeling personal hurt, pain, loss, being evil spoken of, falsely accused, sometimes beaten, sent to prison, or even put to death. This is the path of Jesus. This is the path of Muhammad. And this is the path of every sincere person who wants to see his or her people delivered from our present condition. Brothers, as we part, and sisters, as we part ways, always remember that self-improvement is the basis for community development. We leave you as we came before you with the greeting words of peace. God willing, talking again in the next week and a half. Assalamu alaikum.
Understand the time and what must be done. 10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. This is it. 10K fearless on the move. This is it. Sip. Gotta make a move and take control. Have something we can call our own. So shine your light, help the people see that now is the time for us to be free. And if you waiting on the pie in the sky, you better wake up fast
They told you a lie, cause big fields await the wide awake man. Elijah's got the masses.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. Injustice we've had enough. All of our divisions we're breaking up. Destiny has been calling us. The spirit of the Most High is guiding us.
See, the time is now. What you waiting on? Quit shooting your brothers. Put your gun down. Come on. They got a cage waiting for you if you keep that up. Early graves coming to you. From that, can't raise you up. Now, Sister Ida B and Fannie Lou, check them out and you'll know what to do. But if you really want your enemy to be alarmed, read the final call. Follow Farrakhan.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. 10K fearless on the move. 10K fearless on the move. 10K fearless on the move. In Mississippi, Mississippi. 10,000 fearless on the